So when we look at things and she's going, okay, cool. Through the lens of organ theory, what you need to realize is that you have 12 organs. So first we'll go into organ theory. What is organ theory? In Chinese medicine, the body is understood as consisting of 12 main organs. Each internal organ has a specific role to play in the body, and they must work together harmoniously to ensure peace and wellness within the terrain of the human body. When you understand your organs and you understand what each organ is responsible for, then you can really start to look at how you can make sure each organ is functioning properly. So in Chinese medicine, they have deficiencies. So you'll have an organ that might be deficient in qi or energy. And when it's deficient, that's when it's going to start displaying certain symptomology. Now, what was happening was she was saying that the headaches were actually related to my liver. The gassiness was related to my liver. I didn't actually ever have a diagnosis for why I had headaches. And so that was really interesting and enlightening to know that my liver has some stagnation. Now, the gastrointestinal issues that were related to the mold and the candida are actually caused by the damp. But the damp environment happens as a result of spleen deficiency. And that is also what was causing the swollen, scalloped tongue. So my spleen is deficient. Now, this is where it got really interesting. When I got my hormonal test, my Dutch test back, and the thyroid test back, it came back as extremely low testosterone, which I thought was very interesting. Because that explained why I have had low libido for quite a while, and also why I've had very little motivation and very will to do things and get up and kind of go. Like I might have had no testosterone, right? So lying around the couch, I'm tired. Now in the thyroid, what came back was I had low reverse T3 and low DHEAS, which is a hormone. And so those low reverse T3 and DHEAS were what was essentially creating a condition of borderline adrenal fatigue or burnout. And so the fatigue and the lack of will and motivation that I'm experiencing had nothing to do with the gastrointestinal issues. It had nothing to do with the candida and the mold. Those things all correlate back to a kidney deficiency. And so I have two conditions, or I have two terrains. I have a damp terrain that's creating the gut issues, and I have a heat terrain from the liver stagnation that's creating heat. So I have a damp heat terrain, but the kidney deficiency is creating adrenal fatigue and burnout. So my spleen, my kidney, and my liver are not functioning adequately. And that's producing a myriad of different symptoms. So when you look at it holistically, you can see how if I was just focusing on candida, like I'm still not looking at the holistic picture of everything, right? Because again, it's like you kind of do like this WebMD approach where you're like, oh, what are my symptoms? Oh, cool, that sounds like candida. And it's like, well, there's a very complex process here to diagnosing things. And it's not as simple or as straightforward as saying, well, you have damp, right? Like someone else might have just damp. Someone else might just have heat. I have damp heat. And so those are two different things in the Chinese medicine system that need to be looked at cohesively as a whole, because there's also a very specific diet that will work for someone that has half of this kind of composition, but maybe not all of it. So this is now really interesting. I have a complete picture of the state of my whole being. And finally, I'm like, this all makes sense. All of it makes sense. But it's also very complex. So I say to her, what do we do now? Now that we know, what do we do? And she goes, okay, I'm going to put you on a protocol. It's very important that we don't overwhelm the body. It's very important that we don't confuse the body and that we don't try and do too much at once. You have put your body through a lot. And what's very common is we will put our body through things that will make it work harder, and so it doesn't actually get the opportunity to truly recover.